1 week season.
OWS fam, welcome back, and we are back here in the DFS lab. And of course, it is Tuesday, September 16th when we are recording this, and it is an early look at the upcoming week 3. Week 2 is now safely in the rearview mirror. Hopefully it was a good week 2 for you guys. In this show, we're talking about DraftKings, building the lineup, using that as a way to talk through the slate. I am your host, Cheeseman, and he is Hilow. And it's my privilege to welcome him up. Oh, there we go. There's Hilow. Hilow, how you doing, man? How was week 2 for you?
I built 6 lineups. I went lighter, just focusing on single entry 3-max this last week, and didn't have any Detroit Chicago exposure, so we can tell how that went. I toyed around with that game for pretty much the entire week, and I just never made it there. I think if I would have entered more lineups, I would have, but it's all just speculation at this point. Yeah, it was I 0% ROI. I didn't cash a thing.
I mean, obviously that's the nature of the game. When you're a single entry player, it just, feast or famine some weeks. Your good weeks are probably extremely good. I also didn't have any of the Detroit. I didn't have any primary stacks. I had a little bit of Jameson Williams, which was very lucky. He had like 2 receptions, but ended up being bombs. It was a so-so week for me. But as far as big picture, I was actually looking before we went on. 10 of the 12 games hit the overs this past weekend. There was a lot of points scored. Anything that stood out to you in terms of like, are we finally seeing that teams knocking off that rust and starting to actually perform here?
I think that's probably the answer to that is a 2-part answer. I think on one hand, like teams are very clearly like hitting their stride. On the other hand, we had 4 major quarterback injuries this past weekend. So the injuries are starting to pile up. So yes, like I think teams are starting to come into their own. They're starting to figure out how they want their identity to be, they're starting to get that a little bit of that like, oh shit factor. Some teams have fallen to 0-2 that we didn't expect. And so we're starting to see, we're starting to see some teams open up a little bit. The other aspect of that is like these quarterback injuries are legitimate. I don't know if JJ McCarthy, he looked like he was moving around pretty well at the end of that game. I didn't see a high ankle sprain, but allegedly he woke up on Monday and his ankle was all jacked up. So we're looking at Carson Wentz there in Minnesota. Jaden Daniels has an injury. Who else got hurt? Joe Burrow is a big one, obviously. We're just talking before we jumped on here. If he has to have surgery on a ligament damage in his foot for turf toe, he's looking at 3 to 4 months. So he's looking at like weeks 16, 17, 18 time frame to come back.
I hate quarterback injuries just because it just like messes with everything. For DFS purposes, you got to try and figure out, okay, how do I kind of attack the situation with Jake Browning at quarterback or, Mac Jones, or it's just like even the Niners, like the Niners have a good offense, but at some point, like, you're going to start to see some drop off when you don't have the same pieces, talent that you normally have.
Yeah, and teams will have to adjust like how they're attacking. Another, like just from a macro perspective too, like last season we saw historically good health at running back and we saw like historically bad health at quarterback. And now like we're in week 2 of the 2025 season and it's kind of like the same thing. Like we didn't see any major running back injuries during the off season. And running back is a relatively healthy position right now. And now we have 4 or 5 major quarterback injuries. It's like, okay, if we look at like what the data tells us from last season, we saw hit rates of people shipping major tournaments higher for 3 running back builds on DraftKings. Yes. So that could be carrying over into 2025. We'll kind of talk about a little bit of that, and that's going to be a part of the build that we do today as well.
Love that. Let me pull up DraftKings here, and while I kind of get this pulled up, I did want to ask you, because I know last week an emphasis for you was like you were seeing stacked boxes on film. Is that going to be something that will impact? Because this last week you did have some big running back performances. Jonathan Taylor, of course, at week 2 he went off after I had him locked in week 1, right? Of him underperforming, just the way it goes. But could we see a shift back to kind of these big wide receiver numbers, or do you think maybe sounding like you think that the running back thing could maintain stability there? And let me just pull up a contest here real quick. Let me ask you real quick before you answer that. What contest do you want to jump into?
Let's do the SPY again. Let's focus on single entry here.
Love that. Love that. Okay. 150K SPY, 25K to first. We'll target that. And this total entries here, 1,666. Let me just really quickly look at this. The min cash, 150, and first place, 25K. Like it.
Yeah, so this is like
go ahead.
This is like a small field single entry contest. There are bigger SPYs. They probably will release them shortly. I mean, last week we saw the 100K up top SPY, like 4,000 something entries.
Yeah, maybe my Opto didn't bring it up or something.
Yeah, that's fine. But we'll focus on this, the smaller field single entry. And in that like discussion of like where the league is at, where do we think the league is going, with these quarterback injuries, with what we've seen, I would expect teams to continue stacking the box. Just league wide, where I would expect that we're seeing, more defenders in the crunch area of the field, in the middle of the field. That's obviously going to change team to team. That's going to be dependent on a lot of things like game flow and situational tendencies. But just as a general tendency, I would expect that we're going to see teams playing a little bit harder to stop the run and playing a little bit softer behind that coverage. Probably means increased rates of too high. That probably means less blitz rates. There's a few teams that are blitzing like that's the only thing that they can do. The Miami Dolphins have blitzed over half of their defensive snaps.
It's crazy.
And they've generated pressure at one of the lowest rates in the league. It's like they're blitzing a ton and they're not generating pressure. That was one of the things that we attacked last week with Drake May. So yeah, some interesting dynamics of where the league is at right now. What I want to talk about next though is like what we've seen for 2 weeks now. Like this is still a small sample, but we have some teams that are very clearly like struggling. Like even the Dolphins, even though that they pushed their opponent in week 2, like that 50-yard reception from Tyreek Hill was like a badly underthrown ball from Tua Tagovailoa that Tyreek just like, he was double covered too. It was badly underthrown into double coverage. He adjusted and came back to the ball while the defender kept running because it's Tyreek Hill and he's fast. So like, the Dolphins still have a lot of things to work out. On the other side of that coin, like the Colts, dude, like what?
Seriously. Is Daniel Jones he might be the QB1 right now or close to it?
He is, or 2. I'd have to go look. But look at this Colts team. Like JM has been talking for the past 2 seasons. I have been talking for the last 2 seasons how Shane Steichen is a good coach. Like people were calling for like him to potentially be on the hot seat, get fired. Like this is a really freaking good NFL coach.
I agree.
So it does not shock me that the Colts are seeing so much success early in this season. They have stability at the quarterback position now with Daniel Jones, regardless of what that means for like our best ball bags or whatever. What we've seen, we've seen this team 0 turnovers through 2 games. And we can write off like week 1, like, oh, it's the Dolphins, like whatever. We expect them to score in every possession. Like you don't ever expect anyone to score in every possession, but like it's a little bit less shocking in week 1. Then they come out in week 2 and they do the same thing. Well, they didn't have any turnovers. They didn't have any punts. They had 2 failed 4th down conversions. So they had turnover on downs twice. Every other possession for the Indianapolis Colts this season, they have scored points. And that's pretty remarkable when you look at now who they played in week 2, which is arguably like the top defense in the NFL in the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
So we're going to anchor this roster with the Colts. We're just going to say like they score points here. We'll do so obviously with Daniel Jones.
Yeah. And yeah, Daniel Jones, man, I mean, his price has just not adjusted at all.
Yeah, it's going to be slow. I would expect that might spike, but what that needs to spike for the salary is ownership. So like if people start playing him, then his salary is going to spike pretty substantially. But against the Tennessee Titans with a big red, like 3rd against their 3rd in the league and fantasy points allowed to quarterback position through 2 weeks, like I don't know if people are going to get there this week, but we're just betting on the offense. We're saying this offense continues to score points and we're just going to anchor the roster with Daniel Jones. Now, in a single entry mindset, we can also add Jonathan Taylor to this roster.
I was wondering if you were going to go that direction. Yeah.
And just say like, I'm going to account for every touchdown that this team scores. I'm going to account for a ton of the the production, the overall production. I'm going to account for every rushing yard that this team provides. And just say like, this bet is that the Colts continue this torrid pace on offense.
Yeah, man. I mean, it really is stunning to say, but maybe, I mean, Daniel Jones, it's 2 weeks. I've seen instances before where like a player who we thought was dead and gone just kind of has a huge, I mean, I always think of Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's such a small sample size. I don't think it applies here because I think you're right. Like Shane Steichen, I mean, basically from hearing from you and JM over the past 2 seasons, I know that he's very bright offensive mind. So,
and like, where do these
see any hesitation here?
Where do these quarterback revivals come from in recent history? It's like Baker Mayfield, who finished with the Rams with Sean McVay before he goes to Tampa Bay. So quarterback guru. Sam Darnold, who is working with Kevin O'Connell, quarterback guru.
Yes.
We have Daniel Jones, who spent last year with Kevin O'Connell, and they reportedly really wanted to keep him. And now he goes to a great offensive mind in Shane Steichen. So like, I would not be shocked if like this is Daniel Jones, like I'm here kind of awakening.
Absolutely. And even in more recent past or further back, Alex Smith, when he went to Kansas City, kind of had a much better time there than he did previously at any time in his career, really.
Yeah, so targeting these guys that are like in the midst of a career revival is going to be a plus EV situation for us to take. So we've accounted for all of the rushing. We've accounted for the bulk of the touchdown expectancy from the Colts. Now let's look at the matchup. This Titans defense has arguably 2 of the top coverage corners in the league. They both play the perimeter. So what did we see last week against the Rams? We saw Devontae Adams, his coming out party in 2025, because he has an elevated slot snap rate in that Rams offense. They were targeting that at a very meticulous and particular fashion to exploit the weaknesses of this Tennessee Titans defense. So while now let's like look at the Colts offense, and it's like Michael Pittman is going to be locked with top end perimeter coverage. Yeah. Josh Downs has seen like coming and ebbing and flowing snap rates and involvement in the offense. Michael Pierce is going to be like, his role is unchanged in this offense. He's a deep threat only. So like, to me, when I look at the structure of this Colts offense, we can add Tyler Warren to this offense or to this roster and say like, he's seen what, 8 and 9 targets. Is that what he's seen? I want to get that right. He's seen 7 and 9 targets. He's gone for 76 yards, 79 yards through 2 professional games to start his career. Yeah. So he also has 2 carries. So we're talking about like, and this team also like talked about the fact that Tyler Warren could be involved like in the backfield as well. They're moving him around the formation. He plays in line, he plays slot, he plays in the backfield. So like, now we have accounted for the bulk of the offensive production from this offense, all of the touchdown expectancy, really. I mean, we say all, but like the majority of the touchdown expectancy. And now we're getting double dip on the yardage through the air with Tyler Warren.
And I saw a little bit of Tyler Warren this weekend, just when I was watching Red Zone at home, and he is talented. I mean, it's not like he's a bulky tight end who's lucked into a couple, blown coverages. Like, they're really, like you said, they're really using him, and he clearly has a lot of natural ability, quickness for the tight end position.
Yeah, and his salary went down $100 this week.
After last week. Make it make sense.
Yeah, so he was priced at $4,500 last week in one of the most difficult matchups in the league, and now he plays the Titans, where his role and how he's used in this offense aligns with kind of the matchup, and he went down $100.
Love it. Awesome. So now we got 3 Colts. Are you wanting a Tennessee bring back or not for this one? Because I mean, again, Tennessee, their offenses looked not great so far. Obviously, Cam Ward, rookie quarterback and everything.
Yeah, so the Cam Ward has kind of looked every bit of a rookie quarterback in his first 2 games. 12 for 28 in game 1, 19 for 33 in game 2. That was a 42.9% completion rate and a 57.6% completion rate. He's averaged 4 yards per attempt and 5.3 yards. So no, I don't think we need a Tennessee bring back. I do think, and I've been talking about this offense since the off season, where it's like this offense carries upside this year. I think it's probably, we're not going to see that realized or materialize until after their week 5 bye. So they have an early bye. They have a week 5 bye. Their schedule is fairly difficult through these first 4 games. Elic Ayomanor is already showing like who I thought he was coming into the league. So nailed that one, chalked that one up. I do think he is going to put up some explosive performances this season. I don't think it's going to happen these next 2 games. So I'm okay saying like we can just bet on the Colts succeeding, and we can just say that like, hey, they continue, like they don't have any punts through 3 games and they continue putting up points, and we don't necessarily need a bring back on the spot.
Absolutely. I love that. So now, I mean, given the kind of overall context of this week now, I'm curious where you want to go next in a week where you have one game far and away, like the clear favorite in terms of over-unders. And then, like, with that being the Bears and Cowboys, over-under currently set at 50. And then below that, like, just games that are in the 45s, 46s, 44s.
Yeah, so we will be targeting that game. But before we do, I want to talk about the running back position. So we open this saying that, like, we probably want 3 running back builds based on the current state of the league. And we have the Atlanta Falcons playing the Carolina Panthers. So, like, Bijan just goes on this roster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we'll throw Bijan on there.
The Vikings. I mean,
yes, and especially against cover 3, which is single high heavy with an outside zone run offense for the Falcons. Bijan should. I mean, I would be shocked if he didn't have 6+ yards per carry in the spot, like legitimately. So we'll put on Bijan. We'll say like, okay, he had that receiving game in week 1. He yielded the late touchdown to Tyler Algier in week 2. This is the week, dude, where it's like he sees 22 carries again. He goes over 100 yards and scores multiple times, adds on a few catches, and we're cooking.
Yeah, let's go, man. I love that.
The flex position now, we are going to go to that Dallas-Chicago game, and this is an interesting spot because I don't know how the field is going to react to Javonte Williams. Right. There is all this like innate bias towards him because of what he did last year and all the talk off season in best ball circles about how he's washed and he's this and he's not that. He is seeing a massive portion of the backfield opportunities in this backfield. So if we think that this game is going to be high scoring, if we think that Dallas is going to find offensive success, let's just say like, hey, if I get 20 to 22 opportunities from Javonte Williams in a high-scoring game, that is probably going to mean something. So we'll throw Javonte Williams on this at 6,100.
Awesome. Yep, got him in the flex. And yeah, three running back flex build here.
Yeah, and then to kind of target the other side, it makes too much sense to stick Rome Odunze. His price has not come up. He's at 5,300, and he is like the primary focal point of this Chicago Bears offense. So the Dallas secondary is missing Deron Bland, is it Deron Bland who's out? It is. Now, Deron Bland is kind of the nickel corner in this offense, or this defense, excuse me. And they're kind of left with Trevon Diggs and Kyer Elam on the perimeter. And we kind of saw how the structure of this defense kind of broke down a little bit last week. We saw the Giants attacking relentlessly over the slot, over the middle of the field. And Rome Odunze has kind of a robust route tree to where he's not only working like perimeter stuff, they're using him on slants. They're using him on sluggos that are set up by those slants. They're using him on these kind of like smoothing routes over the middle field as well, to where I really like this spot for Rome Odunze as kind of the focal point of this Bears passing attack.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I feel like just because his price hasn't come up, how chalky do you think he could possibly be this weekend after just the blow-up game for him?
He's probably going to be very chalky, but it doesn't matter on this build, the way that we've structured it. We've kind of bought into an offense that we are expecting to succeed.
Yeah,
we've anchored it with 3 running backs. We've paired a running back with our quarterback. That's not done at a heightened rate, and we have 3 running backs on this build, so it really doesn't matter to us much.
No, that's true, because again, like the not only pairing the quarterback and running back together, that is less popular, but also just the 3 running backs in the flex. That's always my challenge with weeks like this is how do you be different when there's such a clear, like, there's just no other games that are close to this Bears-Dallas game, and the field just normally gravitates towards those higher Vegas totals. But this is a great answer to that.
Yeah, and CD is probably going to get a lot of attention. George Pickens, after coming off of a touchdown, is probably going to get a lot of attention. His price is palatable. And just saying, like, Javonte is probably not. And within the structure of this roster, like, we don't really have to worry about the singular ownership on Odunze.
Exactly. Love it.
All right, so we got 2 wide receivers and a defense. Let's go to defense and see. Well, actually, how much do we have left per player?
About 4,500.
Okay, so we're going to need to save a little bit at D to kind of stick into this mid-range, I think, at wide receiver ×2. So let's pull up the defenses, and I mean, we'd love to throw in the Packers. We'd love to play maybe the Broncos even. Probably not, actually. That's another difficult matchup against the Chargers. What about the Jaguars against the Texans? The Texans have really struggled to sustain drives, to move the football. They have a bottom 5 offensive line, and something is not all the way there with the connection between CJ Stroud and Nico Collins just yet. We saw that touchdown in the first drive last night. That was a beaut. That was beautiful. But after that, like, he had 1-2 other catches the rest of the game.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so let's go the Jags at home here, who have a very fast defense, a very aggressive defense. I think they've forced how many turnovers? They forced multiple turnovers in each game. 3. They have 3 turnovers in each game played against the Panthers and against the Bengals, but they're a fast and aggressive defense. So if one of those mistakes from Stroud game kind of surfaces here, they carry some upside.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we're left with 2 wide receivers. Let's look at kind of this mid-range. So there's a couple of different ways we could go here. We could put Elic Ayomanor in this roster, who is priced at 3,700, and that leaves us what?
So I'm not familiar. I wasn't paying attention during best ball. What was kind of your take on him this offseason?
Wide open pass catching unit behind clear alpha Calvin Ridley. No real other target competition that we're truly worried about. Is like people were expecting Van Jefferson to start, and it's like, I don't know, man. Like, we know who this guy is. He is really, like, he can run like the 7 through 9 routes pretty well, but like other than that is not much. I liked Elic's tape coming out of college, and then I was much higher on Cam Ward than I think the field was. This guy is like the consummate professional. He is like the head between the head on his shoulders and what's between his ears is, I think, makes him the most pro-ready quarterback to come out of the last 5 draft seasons, or the 5 last years in the college football. So I just thought that all those kind of aligned, and then it was just up to Elic to win the starting job over Van Jefferson. It's like, I'll bet on that all day.
Dude, with your take on Cam Ward, I might have to try and I do collect a little bit of cards. I might have to pick up some Cam Ward rookies one of these days.
Oh yeah, dude, that's a good one.
It is, and you never know with these quarterbacks, but like the mental approach a lot of times is even more important. Obviously, I think we know that, than the physical skills. I mean, those both have to be there, but that's a good take. So anyway,
the other thing with the Titans is, like, Brian Callahan has called some very, very conservative games the first 2 weeks.
I mean, rookie quarterback, right?
And that's kind of like not who Cam Ward is. You see, like, he wants to be attacking downfield. He wants to be pushing things. He wants to attack the defense vertically. We saw it with Elic in game 1, and the connection hasn't been there. But, like, if those two like come together, like if Brian Callahan starts calling an offense to maximize who Cam Ward is, that's I think when we're really going to see this offense take off. So that's why like I'm kind of just waiting in the wings, just hoping that they don't do anything the next 2 weeks, and then they come out of their week 5 bye and just like start lighting the world on fire. That's kind of the thesis right now. So like we could enter Elic on this roster. I don't think we need to. That would leave us what 7,200. So who's up there at wide receiver that we could?
I mean the Lad
not
McConkey
really anybody.
Yeah, I mean it's always annoying when you're like 100 below like the next tier up, even though Nico Collins, I don't know that we're rushing to play him either.
Yeah, so let's remove Ayomanor and we'll go to the mid-range. So looking at the mid-range, we got 5,450 per player. Let's put Juwan Jennings in this roster at 5K. Came out and like shrugged off the shoulder issue, saw 10 targets to lead the team in week 2, playing against Cardinals defense that is nothing special. They continue to outperform expectations because their coaching is really good and they have a solid front four. But I don't think this defense is really anything special here. Getting Juwan Jennings again, George Kittle's going to be out. Brock Purdy's likely to be out. Kind of a similar setup to what we had last week where we were targeting Ricky Pearsall. But like now we have, I think it's 5 games that Ricky Pearsall has played with Juwan Jennings and no George Kittle. And I think it's 4 or 5 games. I'd have to look at that. But it's like in every one of those games, Juwan Jennings has led the team in targets. Like it hasn't been Ricky Pearsall. So I want to like at 5K, we can just say we'll bet on Juwan kind of leading the team in usage through the air again. And that leaves us at 5,900. Like we talked about, George Pickens is probably going to be popular, so we won't put him on this roster. We already have Javonte Williams. Let's go with Tetairoa McMillan.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes a nice, tidy game correlation to Bijan there.
That's true. Love it, man. That's the build right there for those listening on the podcast. What we finished up with here, making a bet on the Colts. Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, and Tyler Warren. It's Tyler Warren, right? Yeah, Tyler Warren, the tight end with Bijan, Rome Odunze, Juwan Jennings, McMillan for the Panthers, Javonte Williams, and the Jags defense. Guys, real quick, I have failed to mention so far, but notice below, this week for week 3, 1-week season, you can get a test run of the BINK machine for only $1. That's normally a $19 1-week pass, so that's a discount of, doing the quick math, 92% or something like that. It's a good deal, guys. Check out the BINK machine. I used it this past week. Really like it. They also have the Sims incorporated now. That is extra, so that doesn't come with this week. But if you wanted to try that out as well, you certainly could if you wanted to add that on. But guys, great opportunity to test out the BINK machine here. Hilow, great stuff, man. As always, any final thoughts before we close this out?
I don't think so. And obviously the caveat of this whole discussion is like we're doing this on Tuesday before like I've even done any of my research. So very clearly this is subject to change, but kind of just looking at the state of this slate, I want to be investing in offenses that we should expect to be succeeding, the Colts. And I really want to be keeping like the field's tendencies in mind as we're moving forward, particularly early in the season.
Absolutely, man. Well, Hilow, great stuff. And obviously we'll be hearing more from you this coming week. And again, how can people find you online? And obviously you have other shows. The big one is the Searching for Ceiling that you do on Friday. So guys, make sure to tune in for that.
Yeah, for sure. Searching for Ceiling with the great Rich Rebar every Friday at noon Eastern. And then the slate for those Inner Circle. If you're not familiar with Inner Circle, I invite you to check it out. Hopefully you got the chance to do so in week 1 when everything was free. But Inner Circle gets you access to all the nitty gritty behind the scenes that we do at OWS. And the Slate podcast is a 2-hour podcast on Saturday to go through the entirety of the slate from a top-down approach and get everybody's mind in the right place heading into the weekend.
It's a must listen. And I think this is year 3 or year 4. You and Xanamir have been doing it. You guys have got the chemistry and just kind of the rhythm down, and the discussion is always gold mine. So I couldn't agree more with there. Good stuff. And then on Twitter, is it at Hilow? Oh, it's probably on your
Hilow FF. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Hilow, good stuff, man. We'll catch you next week.
Later.